Hello students, good morning. Hope you all doing good. Today we are going to start the new chapter Transportation in Plants and Animals. And now we are going to discuss about transportation in plants. As we all well know about the term photosynthesis, that is, in the presence of sunlight, plants absorb carbon dioxide, water, and nutrients and processes food in the form of glucose and release energy. That is called photosynthesis. The food is prepared by the leaves, and the leaves will transport the food to all parts of the plant. Similarly, the water and minerals which is present in the soil, it has to transport to all parts of the plant. How does the food and water reach all the parts of the plant? There are many kinds of plants from small herbs to huge trees. So the transportation system in plants vary a little with the plant types. But the basic is same in all types of plants. The food, water and minerals get carried through the pipeline structure formed by the special tissues. So let's understand first what is tissue. Cell is the basic functional unit of an organism. When similar kind of cell unite and form a specialized function, they are known as tissue. And here we are focusing on vascular tissue which conducts water and food to all parts of the plant. As we know that the roots absorb water and the minerals from the soil, and the pipeline which is used to transport it to the leaves is made of special tissue called xylem. The xylem forms a continuous network of chains that connects roots to the leaves through the stem and branches and thus transport water to the entire plant. Now, let us perform an experiment to understand the functioning of the xylem tissue. Cut a herb with a white flower. Place the stem inside the beaker which is half filled with water. Now, put a few drops of red ink in the water and stir it well. Keep it undisturbed and watch what happens to the next day. The next day, you will see that the few red lines have appeared in the stem and the petals of the flower. Why? It is because the red water flows through the pipeline of xylem tissue in the stem to reach the flower. So, we see the xylem tissue cells form a continuous network of channels to connect the roots to the leaves, to the stem and to the branches. And thus, water is transported to the leaves. Now, the next question is, how can the water from the roots reach even the leaves of the very tall trees? You know, the leaves release water. How? We already know the water evaporates through the stomata which is present on the surface of the leaves. So that process is called transpiration. This evaporation of water from the leaves generate the suction pool. So the water rises from the xylem tissue. This upward pull is just like the upward pull which will make the drink rise through the straw. We can imagine you are drinking any juice or coke using the straw. When you suck the drink using the straw, the upper part of the liquid column enters your mouth and more drink enters into the straw to make a further empty place. And this is how we are able to drink using the straw. So now you know how the water rises up the xylem tissue. The xylem forms a continuous network of channels that connects the roots to the leaves, to the stem and the branches and thus transport water to the leaves. Now, the question is, how do roots absorb water from the soil? To understand this, let us perform an experiment. Now, take a large potato and peel off its outer skin. Cut it into two equal halves. Make a deep and hollow cavity in one half. Fill the half of the cavity with sugar solution and mark the level by the pin in the wall of the potato. Put the potato in a petri dish with little water. Keep it untouched for few hours. What do we see? The water level inside the potato cavity rises. How did this happen? The water traveled from one cell to the neighbor cell and enters the cavity inside the potato. This is the same way in the plant. The water reaches the xylem from the root head through the other cells. The roots have the root head. The root head absorbs the water and mineral nutrients dissolve in the water. As they are in contact with the water present in between the soil particles. For the very short distances, the water and the dissolved minerals can move from one cell to another and reach the xylem tissue of the roots from the soil. And how is the food transported to all parts of the plant? Now, the food prepared by the leaves has to transport to all parts of the plant. Just like the xylem tissue, the phloem tissue also forms a continuous pipeline to transport food to all parts of the plant. We know that plants absorb minerals, nutrients and water from the soil. The water evaporates through the stomata which is present on the surface of the leaves by the process of transpiration. Let us perform an experiment to identify the water loss from the stomata. Take a small potted plant, cover a branch of the plant with a polythene bag. Keep the covered potted plant in sunlight for a few hours. After some time, you will observe water droplets on the inner surface of the polythene bags. And this shows that the transpiration has taken place through leaves. What is translocation? The food prepared by the leaves is transported to all parts of the plant in the form of a solution through a process known as translocation. So just like the xylem tissue, the phloem tissue will transport the food to all parts of the plant. In the xylem tissue, the water moves only in the upward direction. But in the phloem tissue, the food can move in the upward as well as in the downward direction. So let's have a small recap. So in this session, we have learned about the vascular tissue, that is xylem and phloem tissue. Then we have learned about transpiration and translocation with a few experiments. So we'll meet you in the next session. Thank you, students. Have a nice day.